Like Guruji described in Guru Gita last 2 days, the same energy is working in each particles and part and all the objects and everything is uh, working by the same energy, but we don't feel.
So what I have so far known, what I think, I may be wrong, that this individuality is a delusion. It is really doesn't exist. It is some kind of Bhranti, delusion. It's not there. It is a myth in us way. So is it true then?
It is true, but we don't feel that. We don't realize that. We feel that our individual ego and everything. So we can say only intellectual level that this is the illusion. But you realize that after realization. And that is the real. Otherwise, or merely you can say that all the illusion and everything. But everything we see that everything is real. So we cannot say that this is the illusion.
But then in your sadhana you feel sometime that you are just an instrument and there is only that one supreme consciousness is working, and you know that. So then the conclusion is that this burden of individuality is something which is not true.
Whatever we experience during the meditation, that is the experience. But the same experience will come into our daily life. And then that is the true, your experience will be true. It's real. So same thing will come into your daily life.
Dolat's question brings me to one of my questions that I wrote to Guruji, if I could bring it up now. That there are some people who say that even upon realization, there may not be ego, but there's still the jiva that remains. Is that true or not?
Individual ego is the jiva. No differences between individual ego and jiva.
So you say there's total...
Once you have ego, then you have jiva. So both are the same.
So is there an individual atma?
Atma is universal.
I see.
But we say jivatma. So jivatma means that is the false ego. And the false ego come into the avidya. Yoga Sutra described like avidya. And then you have jiva bhav, your jivatma. But really it is the same.
So ultimately there's total emergence?
Right.
Ultimately there is total emergence?
Yeah. When during the realization your individual ego will merge into the universal Atman. Okay.
I was thinking a lot about our Param Guru, Swami Shiv Mangal Tirth Maharaj, and since we know that he became liberated, after passing, and he achieved moksha, then I was wondering, I feel his influence, but I don't understand, I guess intellectually, how someone could be completely without rebirth and still have influence on this plane. In other words, in terms of his afterlife or any saint's afterlife, do they still have an individuality if they've achieved liberation, by which if we pray to that entity, or do they just become everything?
When someone become realize, he realized and he merged into the universe. And our Param Guruji is working within us like awakened consciousness. And that is the substance of Guru Tattva, as he says. And he remains in each and every particles as that Guru Tattva. And we pray him individually for meditation, help in meditation. He can help us. So that is important. Because he is within us.
So when they merge with the Absolute, then they become
Yeah,
everything.
then he becomes absolute. So we can find him everywhere if we have third eye.
You had a good question.
I had a question.
Well, when we were talking before, you had a very good question.
I don't remember what it was. No, but I would like to ask a question. I don't remember what we spoke about. Swamiji Guruji said that after death of our physical body, our spiritual progress will continue in our next incarnation, and that there's no real going back. We will just pick up where we left off. Does that mean that we will find this same tradition, that we will have a guru again, or it could be something totally different?
This is like that. Guruji gave one example sometimes in his lecture. That for example, you are writing something and you sleep, got to sleep, and the letter is not complete. So when you wake up, you don't have to write another letter. Whatever you had wrote it, you have to start to write again from there. You can just look at that whatever you. So the same thing. When we, without realization, we are doing sadhana and we left this body, then again we have another body and we start wherever we stop our meditation and start to walk ahead from there. And you will get the proper guru in your next life, there is no doubt. Because Guru Tattvas is a universal and they will help us.
It's not in same tradition.
Oh no, in same tradition.
No, maybe in some other tradition.
So other tradition, but you will go in same line. Your consciousness will be also. So many examples are there. They didn't get initiation and their energy was economic. So why that happened? Because they did something in their past life.
I've got one question on the sadhana. When we sit in meditation and spontaneous happenings, kriya starts, after a while, I feel that the thoughts are coming and it is not Saktis Kriya I am thinking. What is right? Is it right to think that like I am thinking? or because all these thoughts are the Kriyas of the Sakti.
Thoughts are also part of Kriya.
Yeah, but you sit and you are not able to maintain the witness attitude.
So that is your mistake. You have to, Guruji says several times, that whatever happened in your body, mind and intellect, you have to observe that. And if you are not doing that, then that is not part of your meditation.
So right from the very beginning, it is very important that you establish in the witness. Yes. Because it happens sometime that, well, this thing, I cannot think like this,
It's happened with everybody.
that this is my thought, this is not Kriya, you feel that, and you want to get away from that stuff.
Yeah, because it's bad thoughts maybe or something.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's very basic and fundamental that right from the beginning you try to restrict and be established.
That's why whatever happened in our body, mind and intellect during the meditation, that is the part of meditation, and we have to develop our drashta bhava towards those things.
But only point difficulty is this, that when you sit down and you start, and you suppose you started with your mantra, and then you recite the mantra also, and the kriya start, and you pay attention to the kriya with the jap, and then that jap and that kriya goes together. You are not paying attention on japa, you are paying full attention on the kriya. So then when you stop japa and kriya continues, and after a while kriya stops, and then the problem starts. You start japa, and then when you start japa, you are not a witness. You are doing something. You are a doer of. Even if it is japa, you are doing it. So,
Because you collect those impressions. So that's why those impressions come in shape of your thoughts and kriyas. So the Shakti is clarify the thoughts, whatever you accumulate from the outside world. So that's why those kind of thoughts comes. But you don't have to worry about that. And as well as you watch the body movements, you have to watch your mind and thoughts and everything.
So basically this question boils down to this. Whenever the kriyas are on a physical level, we know that we are not doing it, therefore we understand it as kriya. But when the kriyas are on the mental level, then how do we differentiate whether it is a mental kriya or it is a thought process of the mind? Whether it is kriya or whether it is just a mental thought that's coming to us. Even though you ask us to watch both, but is there any way of differentiating whether it is a kriya on the mental level or whether it is a thought process as such?
When thoughts comes as a kriya form, those thoughts like a flow of thoughts, and you try to stop them, you cannot do that. And that is the part of kriya.
you cannot stop it.
No.
No, we can stop physical kriya, why can't we stop mental kriya? We can stop.
You can stop, but you have to let the meditation go.
No, that's the question is basically this. Is there a way of differentiating
That
the
is
thought
difference.
process, which is a part of the mental kriya, or whether it's not a part of mental kriya?
Or your own doing, yes.
Yes.
That is the part
Is there
of
any way of differentiating these two?
that is the part of mental kriya, and those thoughts come like a flow. and you try to stop it, but you cannot do that.
Oh, that is the test.
Yeah, that
That's
is
how
the
you
test.
know, yeah.
Okay.
It's flow, comes like a flow.
Swamiji, I have a question regarding the concept of surrender. How does that happen during meditation? And how does one surrender to a kriya such that that kriya can last for a long time, as opposed to being very short and fast?
You don't have to make any desire for kriya, because that is the working of awakened spiritual energy. It's not working or work by you. So you don't have to make any desire for longer kriya or shorter kriya or whatever, because it is comes according to your impressions. So sometimes it is very violent and sometimes it is very calm. So you don't have to make any desire, just surrender and whatever happening,
Well,
you have to observe.
What do you mean by surrendering? How do you define it? Just when you say surrender, do you just observe?
Yeah, that is the surrender.
Yes,
You
you
don't,
just observe?
you don't have to interfere. If kriya is short, long, or thoughts comes or anything else, you can see. You don't have to interfere and just watch, like observe.
Okay. Well, what happens when the kriyas are physical and they come so fast that they get you involved with it, and then they stop automatically? Once you, say for instance, if you get a kriya that jerks you, then automatically you're going to be involved in that movement, and then the kriya stops. So, what I'm saying is that the kriyas come so fast that there's no time to surrender. I mean,
You already surrendered to
Right,
it.
you are.
Okay.
You had no control.
Yeah, it was out of your hands. I mean, so-
Yeah.
You know, we realize everybody that we don't have to think all the time that I am surrendering. Everything will happen automatically. We don't have to think constant that I am surrendering, I am surrendering. Just you sit and everything is start and surrender is there. But when you interfere in your kriyas, then the surrender is broken.
Basically, surrender means non-interference with the kriya. Whatever happens, let it happen. Don't wish or desire something different.
I realize that.
That's it. That's surrender.
Yeah, but if nothing happens, sometimes if nothing happens, you see that you witness the nothingness, I guess.
But I guess the point is that you still surrender by doing the sadhana. You surrender, even if there isn't any kriya.
You see, that is again the working of this mind. When nothing happens, we want something to happen. That is interference.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I agree. When nothing has happened, then the man is dead. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Always there is something happening. At least your breath is going on.
I wanted to share an experience regarding the question about how to tell the difference between thoughts and kriya. In my experience, I can't always tell as it's happening, but I can tell afterwards, because sometimes I've had an experience that I'd sit down to meditate, and it didn't seem like that particular day very much was happening. It seemed like I was just thinking about my business, and it was okay, I didn't mind. But then when I would get up, I would realize that I was in a deep trance. Only after I got up, I would realize that, wow, I was like, while it was happening, it's like when you stay underwater for a long time, then you get used to that gravity, and then when you go up, it feels very different.
Yeah.
That's how it's felt.
Yeah. So that means it was Kriya.
Right. Yeah.
But that kind of state is, you're talking only when one is somewhat in a state of trance.
But it didn't seem that way at the time.
That is the point.
Right.
No, but you realize when you come out of
Right,
the
when you
trance
come
state,
out, when you
you
come out.
immediately realize that,
Right, that you had
something,
been
whatever
before,
thought process,
yeah.
you may or you may not remember that.
Right.
Because that
Right.
comes like very fast and all that. This question was only when you are quite awake, and you are having the kriyas.
And you're having
physical
doubt
kriyas,
at the time.
And at
Oh,
that
I see.
time, it becomes hard to really appreciate the difference. So, that the best solution that we have had, that Swamiji suggested is, no matter whether it is a mental kriya or your own thought process, be a witness to it.
Right, let it come. Could I ask a question about
Yes.
what we were talking before, how to live in the world? We have karma for this life. That's our destiny that we can't do very much about. And I understand that you once gave an example that if you suppress a desire too much, it'll bounce back stronger. But, so what should we do? Should we just give in to our desires? That maybe could cause more karma. It seems like it's just a very thin line.
If you do those karma with attachment, then you will have more karmas. But if you do it as a God wish, then you are not bondage with those karma, and you will not accumulate the fruit of those karmas.
So how do we do that? I mean, we just have the attitude it's just happening through us?
Or like we have surrender during the meditation, you have to create that surrender in your daily life.
Swamiji, I didn't understand that answer. If you have karma of, was it desire? Do you have desires?
Yeah, for
Instead
example.
of suppressing it, you would act upon it?
If those desires are good and you can do without attachment, then it is not harmful. But like desire, I have desire to kill someone and I kill him. That is not the right way. But those whatever we do, it is benefit for other. And we don't have any attachment with that kind of work. Then that kind of the work is not harmful.
Well, when we don't have any attachment, why we will conduct that desire?
Because the force of karmas from past impressions.
So, if we have an idea to do something bad, that we must suppress. And certainly the activity,
Yeah, you
but
have to
even
stop. If harm
right,
other
right.
Well, what if it's for your own self?
then there is no problem.
There's no problem, you
Yes,
just
we
get
can
more
harm
karma.
ourselves.
More karma.
That leads me to another question. Sometimes it's very clear when something is a choice, if something is good or something is bad, but sometimes it's not very clear. Like I think of how the Bhagavad Gita started, that he didn't know whether he wanted to go to war or not, but he had Krishna to tell him what to do. That it's not always clear if we're doing the right thing.
You know, whatever we do, if it is not for ourselves, it is benefit for other people. And those are the good karmas. But we think ourselves and those karmas harm other people. So you have to stay away with those kind of karmas.
But again, the example from the Gita, if you go to war, you're going to be harming somebody. So,
And killing people.
Yes.
He gave all the answers in Bhagavad Gita.
no, but sometimes we don't have such a clear
Concept.
in our particular situation.
No, but if Lord Krishna is with you and he says to kill all these people, then you can put the atom bomb or something like that. But he's not here, so you have to
That's why I'm asking.
So that's why you have to think that
Just think
whatever I
what will
do,
do good.
it is benefit for other people. Then it is not harm. But if harm any, even a small creature, then you don't have to do that.
Basically, if I may add, see our own internal consciousness, I think in everybody is active and tells us what is right from wrong. Usually. If we continue to hear to that voice, there are two ways. Either we ignore that voice and it stops telling us. But if we continue to hear that inner voice, then it very clearly, on every issue, it is very clear that this is right and this is wrong to do. And that is our Lord Krishna inside that guides us, what to do and what not to do.
Swamiji, isn't it true also that one way of preventing the accumulation of karma as we pass through this life is to dedicate all of our actions to God, whether they're good or bad, because we don't know, what's going to come our way in the course of our lifetime. But whatever we do, we should dedicate those actions to God as an offering. And that's one way, I believe, Krishna had recommended to Arjuna, that even though he had to go to war, but he's doing it for God. And that's one way you can, is that true? That's one way?
Because he belongs to the warrior caste.
Caste, yeah.
And that was his duty.
It was his duty, yeah. But see, whatever our duties are, if we offer those duties to God on a daily basis, that will prevent the accumulation of any additional karma. Is that true?
If you do as a duty, then you cannot accumulate the impression of the karma. And if you do your karmas as a duty, then your karmas should be pure and you never do the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are surrendered to God.
Right.
What if we're in a situation that we know we shouldn't be attached to the results of an action, but we know deep down that we are? And if we just say we're dedicating it to God, but if we don't really mean it, what should we do if we're not at that level?
So you have to create that level to doing meditation. Merely thinking and reading the books, we cannot create that state.
So just little by little?
Yeah.
It's a slow process. It doesn't happen in a day, but as we keep on practicing, then it will be a constant reminder that we are doing this way.
The same thing which we have surrendered during the meditation. A long time during the meditation, the same state will come into the day-to-day life, during the day-to-day life. So we have to achieve that state.
So along the same lines, Swamiji, I noticed that even when my sadhana is going well, and even when I can go out in the world and be very peaceful and feel like I'm not being attached, then in certain stressful situations like at work, it's almost impossible to remain unattached or egoless, because something will happen, and when it happens, people just sort of react, even if it's not in a bad way, like not even anger, but just it might even be some other kind of emotion, even a positive emotion, but it still is there, So, what do you think of in those times? Is there something?
No, we cannot do with the other people whatever action they have. That is their problem.
Right.
But if they prize you then you don't have to be pleased. Or they should be anger, then you won't be anger within you. So whatever people have reaction, you have to be unattached with the reaction. If it is good or bad, whatever. Because people have their own way of thinking, their own behavior, and they have their own nature. So you cannot stop them. But you can control yourself.
Is there some time when anger may be a useful thing, where it's not detrimental to yourself, where, say, somebody does something and somehow you must let them know that it wasn't the proper thing for them to do, or to somebody else? Is there some way to,
No, anger
not
is,
necessarily anger, but...
anger is not bad. Like mother sometimes,
Right,
they become angry with their children, but it is good for the children.
right.
So that kind of anger is not harmful. But you have anger to harm other people. If it is benefit for other people, then it's okay. But it is harmful for the other people, then that is not good.
You are not to be angry, you have only to demonstrate anger.
I see. Actually, you don't feel the anger.
Now I have this. When we get initiation and the Shakti becomes activated within, then we feel the consciousness other than us. When and how we will feel oneness with consciousness.
It's a trick question.
Very good question. Very good question.
A trick question.
I think you had answered your question yourself in the
नहीं नहीं
talk.
बचाओ स्वामी जी को बोल
To whom I have answered, I don't. This thing was answered by yourself. No. I think that question was settled different from this question.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
In the beginning, we feel that consciousness is different from us. So when and how it is realized that consciousness is my consciousness. So when and how oneness with consciousness is realized.
Very good question.
Very excellent. Now Swamiji will reply.
No, in beginning, we feel that consciousness other than us, that it is working in base of my duty, but we feel separate. So after meditation, it's a long time, and then that state will come, state of mind, that whatever consciousness working within me, it is not other than me. It is my consciousness.
But when that, how long it will take?
There is no
Long is not the question.
no-
What
no-
stage?
We cannot have any control over this.
It's depend on your impressions. Whatever impressions you have, first you have to clarify, and then you should be able to achieve that state.
Basically, Swami Guruji is asking the same question as to,
When and how.
when would this stage come? In other words, when is that stage achieved? When you feel the oneness with that.
First we clarify all the impressions, whatever we have within, and then we should be able to achieve that state.
No, but the clarification of impressions is not within our hands, because
No.
Shakti will do whenever she
So
desires.
you can get that state by grace of energy. You cannot achieve that state with your effort.
So it's a darkness when the Shakti will do that grace to realize the same
It is
energy.
not darkness.
It's light.
It's something.
Because energy is helping us to relate towards that state. So how can we say it is darkness?
Swamiji, isn't it true that some
That question is continued still.
My question is yet to be clear.
Yet to be.
No, I'm asking about the question. I was going to say, isn't it true that some people are very highly spiritually endowed, even when they get Shaktipat, they immediately feel union with the divine? So it must be when they have no ego.
No.
It must be when their ego drops off that they...
When the
That is
consciousness
the reply.
becomes active,
Yeah.
then you feel consciousness other than you.
Right.
Ego
But when your ego
establish
goes...
your consciousness.
Merges, then
Yeah.
what?
And
Ego is
then-
watching it.
Right. So first it's got to be other than you, but then when the ego goes away, then it would be one.
So the answer would be that when the ego is completely finished, when there is no self.
Maharaji is there.
I answer my own question.
Thank you.
We feel consciousness other than us. So long our ego is established in chitta, in mind. So long as our ego is established in mind, or chitta, the consciousness is other than us. But when the ego will be established into consciousness, then the consciousness will become one with ego. Ego will be merged into consciousness. So, in Shiv Sutra, there are certain sutras about this. In the beginning, when consciousness becomes activated, the Atma or the self or the ego, it is established in Chitta. Chittam Atma. His Atma Bhava, I am Atma, I am the man, that is established in Chitta. So long as the ego is there in Chitta, he feels separate than consciousness. By and by doing surrender, by doing meditation, by doing service to God, and by doing meditation like this, by and by, as his chitta will become more and more purified, and his ego will also be more and more purified, then the ego will rise from chitta to consciousness. And consciousness and ego, they will become one. But then, at that stage, your ego will be sufficiently purified. Not fully purified, but it will be sufficiently purified. So you will feel that this consciousness is mine, it is not other than me. But it will take a long time. How much long time? It is not definite, it is not decided. Because it varies from person to person. It depends upon how much meditation you do, how much surrender you have, how much service to God you do or practice, and how quickly you are progressing in your meditation. So you progress in meditation more than you get away from this world. You are more attached to this world, your progress will be less. If you be detached from this world, your progress towards Atma, you will go very quick. So it depends from person to person, how much meditation you do, how much surrender you have, how much detachment you have. And if you have all this, then you will go very fast.
and immediately when you will merge yourself, merge your ego into consciousness, then you will feel the oneness with consciousness. Then the sutra is Chaitanyam Atma. The consciousness becomes Atma. Now we are in this stage that our chit is Atma. So we have to get away from this stage, from chit to consciousness. The ego is moving between consciousness and chitta. Now our ego is in chitta. We have to take our ego from chitta to consciousness. Immediately you merge your ego in consciousness, you will feel oneness with consciousness.
As
Maharaj, I have a question for you. I have a question for you now. Does consciousness, no, it is in reference to what you have been talking, so I will probably direct my question.
Everybody will ask one question.
Does consciousness have an ego? Does consciousness have its own ego?
Consciousness
Has an ego?
Consciousness, ego are adverse. Consciousness doesn't have any ego.
Therefore, when the ego of the person, the purified ego of a person, when it merges with consciousness, does that ego lose its identity?
It doesn't loses its identity. Its identity is enlarged. Its separate identity is lost. But
becomes
its identity is there. So identity is not lost. Identity is there, but that identity is merged into consciousness and it becomes enlarged.
Would that be infinite then? If consciousness is infinite, so then identity must be
This
infinite.
all-pervading quality of consciousness, you will realize afterwards. But because so long as you feel consciousness within and you merge your ego in consciousness, you don't feel the all-pervading quality of consciousness.
Oh, that's another stage.
That is further stage.
Yes.
First of all, you have to be oneness with consciousness inside your body.
Guruji, on this question, what's the first stage when you start to feel that you are getting thinned out this impressions and the chitta, and you start to make contact with Atma?
What does it mean? I don't follow.
Again, repeat it.
Yeah, when you thin out chitta, thin out impressions, when the impressions start to leave, and you have very or less impressions, say, not as strong, and when is there a time when you start to make maybe small contact, a stage, small contact with the Atma? The first stage of that, what would that be?
You understand one thing. Consciousness, it reflects from Atma. And it is consciousness of Atma. It is energy of Atma. It is not other than Atma. When you merge into consciousness, it means indirectly that you merge in Atma. But you don't merge in Atma because you have an idea in your mind that this is consciousness, this is not Atma. So you merge yourself in consciousness, not in Atma. But actually speaking, the consciousness and Atma is one.
So you're always making contact with it, but with this shield of
So
this
by
veil.
and by, when you merge yourself in consciousness at individual level, it is individual level. At individual level, you merge yourself into consciousness. Then you will feel that consciousness is all-pervading. And afterward, that stage will come, that all-pervading consciousness is merged into Atma. By and by.
So, when
Some other question or? Huh? This is in this same.
Everybody is saying like this. So it's good as
If you have another question, then go to that. No, the question I had was that as the mind gets purified and impressions are thinning out, what will be the condition of the chitta? Because at this time we feel, even if our impressions get thinned out little bit, we feel that mind is getting out of hand and it is getting worse sometimes. And I was just wondering that as the progress happens, there will be complete destruction of the mind or chitta, or still the mind will be still there in
First of all, you have to understand what mind is. Mind is working of consciousness. So when chitta is active, it means consciousness is working at the level of chitta. So when your consciousness will come in contact with chitta, your chitta will start working. There will be mind working, intellect, everything will be working like before. But when that contact will be disconnected, then everything will be stopped. No mind, no intellect. So you have to be very clear, very conceptual about mind. Mind is only working of consciousness.
No, it's very important.
Guruji, is it possible to be for some time in an in-between state? Another, the first state is when you feel the Shakti is other than you, and then the state that you feel the Shakti is the same.
What does he say? I don't follow.
He continues.
I often feel that in between. I often feel when I have Kriya that I don't know where I end and the Shakti begins. I don't know where the Shakti ends and I begin. I feel like I'm in between those states. Is that possible?
Your question is a new one.
Oh, I thought it was. I'm sorry. Swami Ji.
Not trying to technicality then.
You tried it.
I
You
thought
were
it was
close,
the
but
same.
not quite.
everybody's thinking like this.
This session is good.
So is that
Yeah,
possible
very
to
good.
be in between those two states?
Why don't you repeat?
Okay. The first state is when we feel the Shakti is other than us. And the next state is when we feel that the Shakti is none other than us. Is it possible to be in between for some time? I often feel that I'm in between those two. Is that possible?
Yeah, it is
Yes.
Going back and forth.
Not back and forth, like at the same time. I feel like I don't know where one ends and the other.
What is the question?
उनका कहना है महाराज जी कि एक तो ये है कि जैसे शक्ति को हम अपने से भिन्न फील कर रहे हैं, और एक स्थिति आपने ये बताई कि शक्ति और हम एक हैं, तो क्या ये पॉसिबिलिटीज है कि दोनों के बीच में कोई
स्टेजेस आए, कुछ बीच में स्टेजेस आए, आपने कहा
बीच में स्थिति
In between establishment of self in chit and establishment of ego in consciousness.
Right.
So in between two stages, there are any more stages?
Yeah, this is the
There are
question.
more stages?
Yeah.
If you have to go from this room to that room, you have to walk. So it is very clear that there must be more stages in between.
So several states.
If you have to go from downstairs to upstairs, you have to go step by step.
तो स्वामी जी जो क्रियाएं होती है अभी एक मिनट है तो इसमें सूक्ष्म और कारण शरीर की भी कोई क्रियाएं होती है क्या महाराज जी?
महायोग विज्ञान ने दिया है सूक्ष्म और कारण शरीर की क्रियाएं।
नहीं आप बताओ वो तो याद
should
नहीं
ask in English so that everybody has.
Oh,
to-
yes. लेकिन मुझे सूक्ष्म और कारण शरीर की अंग्रेजी पता नहीं है।
Subtle body
And
and the causal body.
हाँ, right. Maharaj, does this kriyas work in subtle and causal body also?
Level of-
Why not? Because Kriya purifies our physical body as well as the subtle and causal, both. And then we should be able to achieve the enlightenment or samadhi, whatever we say.
You will have kriya, but that kriya will be only of anand, joy. That's all, no other kriya. Hmm?
Shri Guru
Maharaj ki jai.
नारायण 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 नारायण
देखिए महाराज बोलना ही पड़ा आपको।
मैंने तो बोलना ही पड़ा है, मैंने तो थोड़ी सी दिया था उसका
वक्ता की दृष्टि से निकालने वाला श्रोता की दृष्टि से बोले मैं तो ये कह रहा हूँ।
हाँ मैं तो श्रोताओं का
उसके लिए बढ़िया था वो मेरी बात है।
दूसरे के साथ
हाँ, तो मैं भी श्रोता हूँ।
Yes, always there is,
Mind always
अहंकार
no, there is some
के साथ संपर्क होता रहता है। तो वो शुद्ध अहंकार नष्ट हो जाएगा वो भी।
अहंकार की भी दो उस अवस्था में जो अहंकार होता है वो शुद्ध देखते नहीं रहा कि ईगो इज नॉट टोटली प्योरिफाइड। हाँ ईगो इज नॉट टोटली प्योरिफाइड। तो उसकी जो अशुद्ध अवस्था है वो प्योरीफाई हो जाती है। तो अशुद्ध अवस्था शुद्ध अवस्था प्योरीफाई नहीं है।
शुद्ध अवस्था में रहता है आपको।
शुद्ध अवस्था प्योरीफाई कब होगी? when consciousness is merged into one. So long as it is not merged into Atma, the pure ego will remain in consciousness.
तो उसको वो अनुभूति भी समाप्त हो जाएगी कि ये शक्ति देवी है।
When
जब आत्मा में विलीन हो जाएगी,
then there will be
no
experience.
no feeling. कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं रहेगा, because then there is no अहंकार ही नहीं।
The who experiences?
Me.
Chitta.
Conscious.
All the experiences are with Chitta. Chitta is the instrument of knowledge. When Chitta stops working, then there is no experience, no kriya.
So
Very important.
See, the point is this, what we ask, I think, purified ego merges in the consciousness. But when consciousness merges with self, then that purified ego is also, that is a perfect liberation. That is the Brahmalin, that is the
Brahman on one
Brahmanirvana.
ठीक है, लेकिन on one hand we said that consciousness and Atma is the same.
That's right. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah,
it
he
is a
said that
radiation.
same.
He said that,
But it is
yeah.
a radiation. See, it is a, suppose.
It's a reflection of it,
No, radiation of the.
of the Atma.
Yeah.
Yeah, reflection
So
back.
that radiation gives back to the source.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, the source is always there,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in a
It's
way,
just reflection.
suppose there is a.
ओम इष्ट देवताभ्यो नमः, ज्ञान देवताभ्यो नमः, शान देवताभ्यो नमः, नवग्रह देवताभ्यो नमः, सर्वेभ्यो आदित्यो ओम गं गणपते नमः, ओम गं गुरुभ्यो नमः, ओम ह्रीं सरस्वत्यै नमः, ओम समकश्चैकदन्तस्य कपिलो गजकर्णकलम्बोदरस्य विघ्नराजो गणाधिप धूम्रकेतु गणाध्यक्षो पालचन्द्रो गजानन द्वादशैतानि नामानि प्रयुज्यादपि सर्वकार्य समारंभे विघ्नस्तस्य न जायते। ओम शुक्लां वरदरं देवं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्याय सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं गद्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदिशाक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं नमामि। अज्ञानातिरान्तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। ज्ञानमूलं गुरुमूर्ति पूजामूलं गुरुपदं मन्त्रमूलं गुरुवाक्यो मूलं गुरुकृपा। ओम नमः शिवाय गुरुवे सच्चिदानन्दमूर्ते नित्यप्रमुखाय शान्ताय निरालम्बाय तेजसे। ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनां वस्त्रवस्त्रं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पदान् सोमन्वतीं। ओम श्री महागणपते नमः। हरिः ओम सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्ष सहस्रपादश्च भूमिं विश्वतो वृद्ध्वाद्यतिशदशाङ्गुलं पुरुषे वेदं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यम् उतान्वतत्त्वशेषान् यदन्येनातिरोहति। एतावानस्य महिमातो जायांश्च पुरुषपादोश्च विश्वाभूतानि त्रिपादस्यामृतं दिवि त्रिपादो दुदत्पुरुषपादोश्चेहा भवत्पुनः ततो विश्वं वज्रामशासनानुसनियभि। तस्माद् विराड् जायत विराजोऽधिपुरुषः स जातोऽत्यर्चित पश्चात् भूमिमतो पुरः यत्पुरुषेण हंसा देवा यज्ञमतन्वत वसन्तोऽस्यासि राज्यं ग्रीष्मस्म शरदवि। सप्ताशासन् प्रजयति सप्त समिजकृता देवा यज्ञं तन्वाना वन्दन् पुरुषं पशुं तं यज्ञं वर्षिप्रोक्षन् पुरुषं जातमग्रत ते देवा युद्धसाध्या ऋषिष्ये। तस्मात् ज्ञाता सर्वत्र संवृतं कुशदाज्यं पशुंस्ताञ्चक्रे वायुगान् आरण्यान् ग्राम्याशे। तस्मात् ज्ञाता सर्वत्र ऋचसामानि यज्ञे छन्दांसि जज्ञिरे तस्मात् यजुस्तस्माद् जायत। तस्मादस्वा जायन्त एके चोवयादतः गावो जग्निरे तस्मात् जाता जावयत्। यत्पुरुषं विदुः कतिदावकल्पन् मुखं किमस्य को बाहु काबुरुपादा उच्यते ब्राह्मणस्य मासि। बाहुराजन्यकृतौरु तदस्य द्वेष प्रज्ञां शूद्रो जायत। चन्द्रमा मनसो जात चक्षुः सूर्यो जायत। मुखादिन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च प्राणाद्वायुर्जायत। नाभ्याः आसीदन्तरिक्षं शिष्णोदौ समवर्तत। पद्भ्यां भूमिदिशश्रोता तथा लोकान् कल्पयन्। वेदामेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसस्तुपारि। सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरनामानि कृत्वा विवदन् यदास्ते। दाता पुरस्तादमुदा जहार शक्रः प्रविद्वान् प्रतिशस्य तमेवं विद्वान् च भवति। नान्यपन्थाय नाय विद्यते यज्ञेन यज्ञमयजन्त देवा। तानि धर्माणि प्रथमान्यास्ति तेह नाकं महिमान् सचन्ते पूर्वे साध्या सन्ति देवाः। अद्भय सम्भूत पृथिवीरसाच्य विश्वकर्मण समवर्ततादि तस्य त्वस्राविदरूपमेति तत्पुरुषस्य विश्वमायानमग्रे। वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः पश्चात् तमेवं विद्वान् भवति। नान्यपन्था विद्यते अयनाय प्रजापतिश्चरति गर्भे अन्तर्जायमानो बहुधा विजायते। तस्य धीरा परिजानन्ति योनिं महीचीनां पदमिच्छन्ति वेदस। यो देवेभ्यात्पति यो देवानां पुरोहित पूर्वो यो देवेभ्यो जात नमो रुचाय ब्राह्मे रुचं ब्राह्मं जनयत देवाग्रे तद्ब्रुवन्। यत्स्वेवं ब्राह्मणो विद्यात् तस्य देवासन् वसे। रिष्टिते लक्ष्मी च पत्नो रात्रे पार्श्वे नक्षत्राणि रूपम् अश्विनो व्यातम् इष्टं मनीषाणाम् अमुं मनीषाणां सर्वं मनीषाणाम्। ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकं वन्दनान् मृत्युर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकं वन्दनान् मृत्युर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकं वन्दनान् मृत्युर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। तच्चम्यो रावणं गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपदे। देवी स्वस्ति स्वस्ति मानसेभ्योर्गं जिगातु वेशजम् सन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे सं चतुष्पदे। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
ईश्वरीं सर्वभूतानां तामेवोपक्वयेष्यं गन्धं धारयामि गन्धास्योपरि हरिद्रा कुङ्कुमं समर्पयामि हरिद्रा कुङ्कुमानान्तरेण अक्षतं समर्पयामि। ओम शं नो मित्र संवरुण सन्नो भवत्यर्यमा संनिद्रो बृहस्पति सन्नो विष्णुरुकम नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु मामवतु वक्तारम् ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम वनस्पत्युद्भवे दिव्ये नानागन्धसमन्विते आघ्रे धूपदीपानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगय्यताम् ओम अंतर्ज्योति बहिर्ज्योति प्रत्यग्ज्योति परात्पर ज्योति ज्योति स्वयं ज्योति आत्मज्योति स्वयं आत्मज्योति मनोज्योति ज्योतिश्चक्षु पश्यति स बाह्याभ्यंतर ज्योति तज्ज्योति शिवमुच्यते ओम सत्यं त्वतेन परिसिञ्चामि अमृतमसि अमृतोपस्तरणमसि प्राणाय स्वाहा पानाय स्वाहा व्यानाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा ब्रह्मणि स्वाहा परब्रह्म परमात्मने नमः। सद्गुरु नारायण तीर्थ स्वामिने नमः। सर्वं अमृतं महानैवेद्यं निवेदयामि। ओम जय दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामी जय दक्षिणामूर्ति
नारायणे नमो वैष्णवाय कृष्णे समेताय कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वैष्णवो ददातु वैष्णवाय महाराजाय नमः ओम स्वस्ति साम्राज्य भोज्यं स्वराज्य वैराज्य गौराज्य राज्य महाराज महाधिपत्य समन्वया सार्वभौमस्वाय राजा प्रवर्तित पृथ्वी समुद्र पर्यंताय एकराणि कदम्ते शोको अभिदितो परमेष्ठारो तस्या संग्रहे आवेक्षस्य देवासराधि ओम एकंताय विद्मे वक्रतुंडाय धीमहि तन्नो प्रचोदयात् ओम महापुरुषाय विद्मे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो प्रचोदयात् ओम परमहंसाय विद्मे महाहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंस प्रचोदयात् ओम नारायणाय विद्मे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् ओम देवी ब्रह्मांड विद्मे महाशक्ति धीमहि तन्नो देवी प्रचोदयात् ओम महालक्ष्मी विद्मे विष्णुपत्नी धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् ओम सर्वाभ्यो देवताभ्यो नमः सद्गुरु नारायण तीर्थ ब्रह्मणे नमः मंत्र पुष्पांजलि समर्पयामि। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। महादेव। ओम स्वाहा। बुला ना उनको दिया हो गई